Well, there was a minister that was preoccupied with thoughts of how he was going to ask the congregation to come up with more money than they were expecting for repairs to the church building. I'm getting ideas. So therefore, he was annoyed to find that the regular organist was sick and a substitute had been brought in at the last minute. So the substitute wanted to know what to play. Well, he said impatiently, here's a copy of the service, but you'll just have to think of something to play after I make the announcement about the finances. So during the service, the minister paused and said, brothers and sisters, we are in great difficulty. The roof repairs cost twice as much as we expected, and we need $4,000 more. Any of you who can pledge $100 or more, please stand up. Much to his delight, at that moment, the substitute organist started to play the Star-Spangled Banner. I thought, that's pure potentiality. That's very creative, right? Plant that idea, Jim. Okay, good. So today is our first Sunday delving into our fall book study of a spiritual classic by Deepak Chopra called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And I just want to let you know that we had a fantastic first book study this past Wednesday night. And if it is not yours to do to come to a book study, that is so fine. I just want you to know that on the back table, there'll be a copy of the reflection questions that we're working with each week. So please feel free, in your own private, study time on your journey, just to pick that up if you want to follow along with us. All right. So who is this Deepak Chopra guy? Well, just in case you don't know, he's a physician, a public speaker, and best-selling author of more than 85 books on the subject of spirituality and mind, body, spirit, medicine, and health. His books have been translated into more than 43 languages, and he has had 25 books on the New York Times bestseller list. He's been busy. Chopra began his career as an endocrinologist and later shifted his focus to alternative medicine. He was born in New Delhi, India, and was the chief assist to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who developed the transcendental meditation technique and led that movement. Deepak served with him until he launched his own career in the 80s. Deepak has his own center called the Chopra Center in beautiful Carlsbad, California, where he offers mind, body, spirit classes, meditation, and treatments for people to heal their physical pain, find emotional freedom, empower themselves, and connect to their inner spiritual life. So, this sweet little book was published in 1994. And again, I chose it because it's small, but it's mighty. And it's filled with very deep spiritual wisdom. And it kind of takes us further into this journey that we were focusing on the month of September on prosperity and just growing our awareness of the infinite nature of ourselves and the universe. So, the 7 spiritual laws of success. So, we talked about this on Wednesday night. What is success to you? Just take a moment. What is success? And I have to tell you, this group of people on Wednesday night were very spiritually enlightened. I know that I grew up thinking that success was having a great job, making lots of money, having a beautiful home. Mom always wanted me to marry well. Yeah, being a certain level of attractiveness or having lots of friends or being healthy. Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with these experiences, but Deepak defines true success as this: the experience of unfolding the divinity that we are. It is the perception of the divinity, of the divine, wherever we go, in whatever we perceive. He says that when we can experience our lives as the miraculous expression of the divinity that we are, then we will know the true meaning of success. And so I just want to focus just a moment on that word miraculous, because miraculous is not something outside of us that we have nothing to do with. Miraculous is simply an outpicturing of the law of pure potentiality. And pure potentiality is the divine potential that is us. See, the thing is, we are divine no matter whether we believe it, whether we claim it, whether we know it. But the potential comes in our expression of it. We are pure in that potentiality. We can express as much of the divinity that we are, as infinitely as we choose to do so. So, pure potentiality is the divine potential that is the source of all creation. It is the life essence that we are. It is what we are. And when we realize this amazing potential is us, then we align our awareness with the power that manifests and has manifested everything in the universe. See, pure potentiality is the source of all creation. And it's what we are. Deepak says, our essential nature is one of pure consciousness. It is the field of all possibilities and infinite creativity. It is our spiritual essence. It is our pure joy. It is pure knowledge. It is infinite silence in the midst of a chaotic outer world. When you turn within in meditation and you find that place in the silence, that's pure potentiality. It is perfect balance in the midst of our often off-kilter lives. It is unconditional love. It is simplicity in the midst of the detailed complexities of earthly existence. It is complete peace. It is the infinite wisdom that we are that informs, when we allow it, our choices. It is the strength and power when we feel weak. It is our divinity. And when we can live life from knowing this and consciously connecting with this, constantly really aligning our awareness with this, because we cannot be disconnected from that which we are. And when we can see the world from this perspective, from this knowing, from this claiming, that is true success. And so Deepak wants us to remember that there cannot be any separation from that which we are. So another name for the law of pure potentiality is the law of unity. And law, in this conversation, is simply the process by which the unmanifest becomes the manifest. It's that process. So, when you have a divine idea, when you have a desire, what you are activating is this pure potentiality to express. You see? All creation comes from that which you desire. It comes from the life essence within you, the pure potentiality within you seeking to fully express. And he calls that, as we become aware more and more and more of that which we are, we're deepening our consciousness, right? And as we see life through the lens of all that's possible, he calls that consciousness in motion. Consciousness in motion. It feeds into that whole conversation that we talk about, it seems like endlessly, that life is consciousness. Because your life is an outpicturing of the beliefs and the attitudes and the feelings and the thoughts that you hold. And when we can move on our spiritual journey, folks, claiming more and more and more of the pure potentiality that we are, that imbues our consciousness, and we live life with an experience of seeing life through unlimitedness. Are you following me? Are you with me? And what's possible for us as we see life through those lenses. You know, I was thinking about the ways that pure potentiality expresses in our world. You know, through the ways that we say yes or the ways that we say no. The ways that we say yes to expressing the divinity that we are. And I was reflecting on some stories I heard of people being amazing and extraordinary, you know, around what's been happening with the hurricanes and things. And there's a story that I read about Martin Rather, who is the grandson of Dan Rather. And he's a 20-year-old college student, and he has a roommate in Houston. And their apartment was not damaged at all. And so what they decided to do, because they heard of so many people that were displaced, they decided to see if they could support a family or maybe one person to move into their small apartment if they needed it. And what happened was there was a couple with a 19-month-old baby from India whose ground level apartment had been devastated by the hurricane. And so Martin and his roommate Cody said, "Come on in, live with us." They opened up the doors of their heart, the doors of their home to this family, and they talked about how blessed they were in the experience. See, folks, this just might seem like, oh, that was a really nice thing to do. But really, when we extend from our heart, from that beautiful heart of love that we are, that is pure potentiality in expression. You know, I heard some stories about some people that put themselves in harm's way to protect people in the Las Vegas shooting. People, one person in particular that had already been shot, that just kept trying to save people, kept saving people, put himself in harm's way without even thinking about it. It didn't even cross his mind to think twice about it. See, that's the pure potentiality, folks, that we are, because that's the pure unconditional love that we are expressing. And I know that you can think of examples of it in your own life. And when you have received that, you know, especially I remember, and I think I might have shared some of this with you, but when my sister died a couple of years ago, the kindness that just outpoured from people, and I never asked. They just extended their beautiful hearts. How can I help? How can I be there? How can I support you and your mom? That, folks, is pure potentiality in expression. And of course, yes, yesterday, in this backyard, the abundance of all the donations, it was so beautiful. It was unlimited abundance. And let me tell you, when folks came and they were picking up things and they asked the team how much, and we got to say, it's free. It's free. They were like, really? It was beautiful. So, pure potentiality, when we can see life through the lens of unlimited possibility of who we can be and what's possible in the world. And Deepak gives us some practices to support us in being able to see through those lenses and to be able to know, claim, and express the truth of our nature. And the first thing, it's no surprise, because, Deepak and Oprah have worked, together on meditation and meditation, 21-day meditation practices and focuses. He says, in the silence, the fundamental practice for us to know the truth of what we are so that we can see it and claim it and express it is to spend time in the silence every single day. In the silence. And he says if you've never done it, start with 5 minutes. And to develop a practice in your life of silent meditation every single day. He also recommends spend time in nature. Because nature has a healing quality, and folks, if there is ever a place that we can see the unlimited possibilities, the pure potentiality of beauty expressing, it's in nature, especially right now. And he also says, take on a practice of non-judgment. So what we did in class on Wednesday night is that we made a list of the things that we tend to judge. And boy, it seems all you got to do is open up social media for about 10 seconds, and you got a whole long list of things that you can judge. Yeah, so what is that for you? I just want to encourage you. Take note of the things in your life that you have judgments about. What triggers you? What do you want to criticize and analyze from that filter, that old filter of right and wrong? And he says, Deepak says, if you can just do it for 20 minutes, take on non-judgment for like 20 minutes. And then maybe an hour. And then maybe a half day. Then maybe a whole day. And he said, in order to do that though, we need to have that foundation of spending time in the silence so we can be conscious. See, so many of our judgments are unconscious, folks. We just go into automatic pilot. And so the opportunity that we have as we take on a practice of silence and meditation is to be more conscious and more awake and more aware of the judgments that we make. See, this is simple, and these are probably things that you've heard like, okay, I've heard this so many times. But what about, here we are at a new time in our life, a new place on our journey, that we just take it on at a deeper level right now? What do you say? Okay. All right. So this week, let's take on spending more time in the silence. If you already do it, great. Maybe spend a little bit more. Silent meditation, spending some time out in nature, and becoming really aware of those places in your life where you judge. And just see this week and beyond if you can just set aside some time to where you're like, no thank you. And maybe it's time to put down our phones for a while. Maybe it's time to turn off the news for a little bit. I'm not talking about putting our heads in the sand, folks. I'm really not. But just notice the impact things have on you and your consciousness. This is our opportunity to be more conscious and to awaken to the pure potentiality that we are. All right, let's affirm together. I experience my life as the wondrous expression of divinity I am. That is true success, and so it is.